Welcome and good morning. I'm glad all of you could join us today for our candidate forum with Missouri State Senator Andrew Koenig and Missouri State Representative Deb Lavender. Both elected officials are running in the November 3rd election to represent the 15th Senate District of Missouri. I'm Austin Walker, Vice President of Public Policy at the St. Louis Regional Chamber. I'd first like to thank Senator Koenig and Representative Lavender for taking time out of their busy schedules to be with us today. I also want to thank their professional staff for their hard work in planning this forum. And one final thank you to the St. Louis Regional Chamber's 2020 policy sponsors, whose contributions support all of our policy programming throughout the year. Before we start, I want to lay out how the candidate forum will work. I want to make clear what our forum is and what it isn't. Our candidate forum provides the opportunity for both candidates to talk about some of the most pressing issues facing the business community and how they might handle those issues as representatives of the 15th Senate District. Our forum is not a debate and certainly not a place to attack your opponent. Instead, we want to hear each candidate's ideas and policies that will help drive our region forward. Both candidates have agreed to the following forum rules. Representative Lavender will provide the first opening statement, followed by Senator Koenig. Senator Koenig will then proceed to answer the first question first, then questions will alternate between candidates in a snake-like fashion. For example, Senator Koenig will go first on the first question, then Representative Lavender will answer the first question and answer the second question back to back. The order will proceed like this until closing statements. As the incumbent, Senator Koenig has chosen to go second on the closing statements. The questions were agreed upon beforehand, and both candidates will receive the same amount of time to answer each question. There are 8 questions, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. And I want to again remind both candidates that our members are here to listen to your answers to the most pressing questions. 2020 has brought significant challenges for our regional business community, including a pandemic that has shut the doors of many of our region's businesses, and civil unrest that has shed light on some of the most pressing issues the business community is uniquely positioned to address. We look forward to hearing both candidates' answers to these issues and many more in our forum. Each candidate has provided a short bio for introduction, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce the representative of the 90th District of Missouri, Deb Lavender. Deb Lavender has served for 3 terms as the state representative for House District 90, which includes Kirkwood, Glendale, Orson Wood, Sunset Hills, Webster Groves, and Oakland. As a physical therapist and sole owner of an outpatient physical therapy clinic, she understands how difficult the pandemic has been for small businesses. She knows Missouri will need to focus on the economy as we continue to deal with the pandemic. Deb is a member of the Budget Committee and is well known for her detailed attention to Missouri's budget. She has educated her colleagues up to more than 500 accounts that now have over $7 billion in reserves. Because of term limits, these accounts have been forgotten. In addition to the Budget Committee, Deb has served on the Rules Committee, Agricultural Policy Committee, and the Health, Mental Health, and Social Services Appropriations Committee. A longtime resident of her district, Deb is an enthusiastic leader and volunteer. She's a longtime member of the Kirkwood Rotary Club and Kirkwood Chamber of Commerce. She was fortunate to raise her nephew, Griffin, who joined her at 8 years of age, and now enjoys spending her time with Griffin, Tori, and their 10-month-old twin boys. Please welcome State Representative Deb Lavender. Representative, the floor is yours for opening statement.
Good morning, Austin, and all of the members that are on with us this morning. Thank you for this opportunity. I am State Representative Deb Lavender, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be with you this morning. I have served in the legislature for the last 6 years and have loved the opportunity to serve this community and our state. I'm running for state Senate in Senate District 15. This is a district that has 7 terrific school districts with many schools that have earned the Gold Star and Blue Ribbon distinction. We're home of the magnificent mile of auto dealers on Manchester Road. We have 6 veterans memorials, 2 Andy custard shops, 2 Texas Roadhouse restaurants, over 17,000 individual homes, 67 apartment complexes. The Merrimack River runs through this district, and there is a beautiful volunteer-run Amtrak train station. United Commercial Food Workers and Local Laborers 110 headquarters here. We have 3 shopping malls, 1 hospital, 18 grocery stores, 4 tattoo parlors, 87 houses of worship, 1, almost 2 newly opened marijuana distribution stores, and thousands of small businesses along Manchester, Glenbourne, Gravois, Tesson Ferry, Clarkson, and Big Bend. This district has distinct personalities from north to south, east and west. From progressive to conservative, we have it all covered. This district deserves a state senator who will work for all of them. For over the last 4 years, as you've mentioned, I've been a leader on the House Budget Committee, where we make tough decisions on how to prioritize spending. monitor state revenues, and balance our budget. As a member of the Budget Committee, I have uncovered millions of dollars sitting in reserve funds and have used this money for creative solutions to the state's budget needs. I'm a good fit for this district. My constituents have come to know me over the years as a fiscal conservative with the heart of a progressive. I work hard for this district. I hold town hall meetings, send out bi-monthly newsletters. With the state, I've met with constituents in the State House. I'm running for state senate. Thank you, Austin.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And for that opening statement, we look forward to hearing more from you during our question and answer segment. Now I have the pleasure of introducing the current senator of the 15th District, Andrew Koenig. As a lifelong resident of West St. Louis County, Andrew Koenig is excited to be running for the Senate seat.
Yes.
You just went blank. You're still there. As a successful small business owner, Andrew knows firsthand the struggles our job creators face dealing with overbearing government regulations and increasing taxes. Andrew and his wife, Brooke, are blessed to have 5 children, 2 of which they adopted out of foster care. Over the years, the Koenigs have been fortunate enough to have welcomed over 16 foster children through their home at different times and understand the barriers families face in navigating the foster care system. Andrew, Brooke, and their kids are active members of the West County Assembly of God and are very involved in their community. In Jefferson City, Andrew has achieved a record of successfully fighting for working class Missourians by sponsoring and passing the state's first income tax cut in over 100 years. Andrew wants your family and his to feel safe and protected and will always support our police and is proud to be the only candidate in the race endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police. Andrew and his team are working hard to get his message of quality schools, lower taxes, and safe communities to voters throughout the district. Please welcome Senator Andrew Koenig. Senator, the floor is yours for opening statement.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all the members of the chamber on today. And thank you, Austin, for putting this together. I know it looks like it was a lot of work. I'm Andrew Koenig from the 15th District. The 15th District on the western border all the way out to Old State, and then it takes in all those municipalities and through Kirkwood and Glendale, Manchester to Pear, Baldwin. It goes south until you hit Highway 55 in Jefferson County. Have 5 kids. We're 2 of them we adopted through foster care. Like Austin said, we've had as many as 16 foster kids through our home. My wife actually grew up an orphan, and that is one reason why we really wanted to get involved into foster care. My wife was actually, she was orphaned due to violence and a violent crime, and so that's definitely one of my top priorities is controlling violent crime. That's one reason why I sponsored concurrent jurisdiction during this special session that we did pass through the Senate. My oldest, my 14-year-old, he goes to Parkway South. I graduated from Marquette High School. I went to Lindenwood University, and it's been a privilege to be able to serve the 15th District. We work hard. Currently, we are talking to voters, knocking on doors safely, wearing a mask, and we've knocked on thousands of doors, hitting all parts of the district. So we're really in touch the needs of the district. Definitely with the pandemic, the needs of businesses are currently hurting really badly right now, and we do need to open up our economy, and we need to do it safely. And so I look forward to working for the people of the 15th District.
Senator, thank you. Really appreciate that opening statement. And the first question actually goes to you, and you'll have 2 minutes to answer. What qualifies you to seek re-election for the Senate district?
Sure, I think there's a wide range of reasons why I'm well qualified. One, I'm a father. I'm a family of 5 in the legislature. We deal with a lot of issues. I've sponsored many bills with foster care. At one point in time, you couldn't even cross the state border without permission from the state, which was sometimes a difficult process. And that hurt our foster kids. They could not get out and see the world. They couldn't even leave the state. Comes to education, I voted for the largest education budget in Missouri's history. I was actually a tie-breaking vote in order to fully fund the foundation formula. I'm a small business owner, so I know what it's like to try to do all aspects of a business. And I think that helps me be well qualified when we're passing bills. related to businesses. I know exactly how those laws are going to affect businesses. I'm involved in the community. One thing that makes me qualified, I was born and raised in the district. And so I've been in the district my entire life. I was born and raised in Baldwin. I currently live in Manchester, and both Parkway and Rockwood. Like I went to Rockwood growing up, and my son goes to Parkway. Our other kids, my wife homeschools. My wife also does. She actually teaches English to kids in China currently, and so I have a wide range. I pass bills on a bipartisan basis. I think relationships are extremely important. If you look at the bills I've passed this year, I've passed parts of 9 of my bills, and you only do that with good relationships. And so with the Senate, I try to work with everybody in the Senate because you never know when you're going to need someone on an issue. And it's important to understand where other people are coming from. And so I certainly listen to them, and I've been very effective in the Senate.
Thank you, Senator. And same question to you, Representative Lavender. You'll have 2 minutes to respond. What qualifies you to be the next senator from the 15th?
Hi, sorry, a little bit of technical trouble here. Thank you. Our region is facing many challenges right now. The pandemic, systemic racism, economic inequities. St. Louis and Missouri are strong, but we can do better. Public schools are the backbone of Missouri, and yet Missouri ranks 34th on state funding for education. As a state senator, I will invest in our students' education so they have every opportunity to succeed, especially as technology has raised the bar for all jobs in Missouri. This district needs a senator that will prioritize funding for public education. Second, I want to thank the St. Louis Regional Chamber for your support of the crime prevention initiatives during the legislative special session. No one wants to expand their business to St. Louis if they don't feel safe. I'm grateful for the business community's public support and leadership and your work with the governor to keep guns out of the hands of children and repeat violent offenders. I will continue to support these efforts with you. Finally, I will use Missouri's Medicaid expansion to protect our local hospital providers and bring down the cost of the care and prescription drugs, make them more affordable. Ultimately, businesses pay the higher cost of insurance premiums and lost productivity from sick employees. For the last decade, Missouri has lagged behind each of our surrounding states for economic growth, and we're in the bottom of the barrel of all 50 states. We need policies that invest in the people and the businesses of the state. What we are doing isn't working, and we must do better for our region and for our state to succeed.
Thank you, Representative. And you'll get the first answer here for the second question. Do you think Missouri, our region, and Senate District 15 are headed in the right direction? If so, why? And if not, what would you do differently?
I'm sorry, I think that's the question I just answered.
That was the first one, was what qualifies you to seek election in the 15th? And this one was right direction or wrong direction.
Okay. Well, my apologies for answering you out of order. So let me then say that we need the public schools, the backbone of Missouri, and we're ranking 34th on state funding for education. We need to invest in our students' education. This district needs a senator who will prioritize for the public education. So I am qualified for this position because of my work in the State House, working on budget. I've been a physical therapist for a long time. I have my own clinic. I think my background thoroughly qualifies me for this position.
Thank you, Representative. And Senator, to you, same question. Do you think Missouri, our region, and Senate District 15 are headed in the right direction? If so, why? And if not, what would you do differently?
Sure. Yeah, there's several things where I think we're doing a lot of things right. Over the last couple of years, this year we passed a licensing reform bill. Part of that package was a fresh start bill which would allow if someone got out of prison, it would make it so that way a licensing board could not tell them that they can't get a license unless their crime was directly related to their industry. I think this is important because it'll help businesses get a workforce. And it should be up to the business owner to determine whether that person is reformed. It shouldn't be up to government. So that's, we're doing.
Sorry to interrupt, Senator, but your video, we can't see you on video. I just wanted you to know. Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry about that. Did not know that. All right, there. Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, with licensing reform, I think it is certainly going to help our state. We have our reciprocity laws. So that way, when you have other professions and other people moving to the state of Missouri, making it easier for them to obtain a license. Now there's, as our tax environment, I passed the first corporate income tax cut in Missouri's history, cutting it from 6.25% down to 4. And we did it in a responsible way, in a way that would not even cost revenue. What we did is there's a 3-factor and a single sales factor, and we eliminated the 3-factor and put it all on sales. This would incentivize people or businesses to actually do business be headquartered in the state of Missouri. And by cutting out the 3-factor, we took those savings and cut the rate with it. So we're able to make our state much more competitive, and it didn't even cost the state of Missouri any money. Now, when there's a couple things we're not doing good. The crime rate in Missouri is not a good situation. Centene has said that they might open up a second headquarters in Charlotte, and one of the reasons they cite is because of the crime. We've had over 200 homicides here in the state of Missouri, and that is one reason why I sponsored concurrent jurisdiction. And so that way allow our attorney general to prosecute those murders in the city of St. Louis to deter people from committing these crimes. We must put these violent criminals behind bars. And I think that's extremely important. That's something we need to do much better on.
Thank you, Senator. And question 3 goes to you first. If reelected, what will be the top 3 priorities for your term? And why are they right for Senate District 15, the region, and Missouri?
Sure. Yeah, there's, certainly the crime rate, like I just talked about, is something that's extremely important. We passed it, we passed the residency requirement for police officers, remove that. And I do think that will help the city of St. Louis be able to hire more police officers. So we addressed part of that issue. Another important thing that I think we need to do is pass something called fix the Wayfair. There's been 47 states that have addressed this. And the reason why other states could do it through their bureaucracy, they didn't have to actually pass a bill. They could do it through regs. And but here in the state of Missouri, we have to pass a bill to do that. By not doing it, we have the wrong incentive. We're basically incentivizing people to go outside the state of Missouri and make purchases from non-Missouri businesses. That's the wrong incentive. It's bad for Missouri businesses. Now, when you're looking at the tax code, there's 2 things that you want to look at. There's the amount of tax, and then there's the way that you tax. I do think we need, in order to get a bill through the legislature, it would probably have to be close to revenue neutral, at least from the state's perspective. This might not necessarily at the local level, but at the state's perspective. And so, that was actually the last bill before COVID shut down the legislature. We were actually debating it on the Senate floor. And so I'm definitely going to work really hard to try to pass Wayfair. It's a heavy lift. And one reason why is because it opens up so many chapters. Everybody wants to try to hang their bill on this bill because it's so broad. But that's definitely going to be one of my top priorities. Another thing that is really important under the COVID situation is COVID liability protection for businesses. If we're going to open up our economy, we need this protection for our businesses. It needs to apply to every business, not just healthcare workers. This is extremely important. Businesses are fearful right now that they might be sued, and we need to give them this protection.
Senator, thank you. And Representative, same question. If elected, what will be the top 3 priorities for your term? Why are they right for Senate District 15, the region, and Missouri?
Thank you. I'm running for the state Senate to improve public education, including higher education and workforce development. In real dollars, we are spending less on higher education than we did a decade ago. We are saddling our young adults with tens of thousands of dollars of debt. We need to change that. I'm running to keep our communities safe, and I mean all of our communities. Everyone deserves to feel safe in their homes. I'm running to build an economy that works for all of us, that starts with education and includes transportation, housing, access to broadband, and workplaces that are safe against discrimination. For too long, legislators from this area have only followed the direction of one billionaire who funds their campaigns. That extreme agenda has polarized the debate in Jefferson City, and it's blocked progress on priorities that we can all agree on. Economic development bills, affordable workforce housing, and common sense public safety bills. I'm the moderate in the race, and I think the Senate could use a little more moderation and common sense. That will benefit our entire region and our state.
Thank you, Representative. The next question goes to you. Many Missourians are out of work due to the pandemic. What do you think needs to be done at the state level to encourage workforce participation to help businesses reopen? Do you think the lack of COVID-19 liability protection for businesses is a concern and possibly the reason some businesses have not fully reopened?
As a healthcare professional and a small business owner, I know the challenges Missouri workforce is facing and businesses are facing firsthand. Thousands of Missourians have lost their job, income, and healthcare due to the coronavirus. Many small businesses are struggling or have been forced to close. Businesses are threatened because Missouri has failed in its coronavirus response. Today, Missouri's positivity rate is close to 20%, 4 times above the World Health Organization's target of 5%. By not implementing a statewide mask requirement, we have risked jeopardizing the economic health of this region. We cannot go back, but we can learn as we go forward. Let's try a statewide mask requirement and give consumers and customers the confidence they need to return to work, go to restaurants, and get this economy moving again. If we are forced to have another sheltered in place, small businesses will be devastated. We need a Missouri First plan that gets relief to the workers and small businesses who are hurting. We need to utilize the millions of dollars from the CARE Act that is still sitting in Jefferson City to support local businesses and help us all reopen safely. We need smart, safety-first approach to opening. We need our leadership to be collaborating with the communities to make sure that this happens, not extremists who can't put politics aside during a pandemic or even fail to realize how the coronavirus continues to devastate this state. Any chance we had for a special session to discuss liability protection for businesses during the pandemic was lost when the Senate Republicans used the previous question to end the debate about concurrent jurisdiction. The House had already demonstrated it wasn't going to pick up that bill. The previous question essentially shut down the Senate for the rest of the year. Again, pushing an extreme agenda, regardless of the consequences.
Thank you, Representative. And to you, Senator, same question. What do you think needs to be done at the state level to encourage workforce participation to help businesses reopen? You touched on this earlier. Do you think that lack of COVID-19 liability protection for businesses is a concern and possibly the reason some businesses have not fully reopened?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's absolutely a huge concern. I think this should be one of the top priorities. I think the governor should call special session right after the election, so that way we can address this. Business need that safety. They need to know that they're not going to be sued just simply for doing their job. When it comes to a mask mandate, I think masks are good. I think that people should wear masks when we're campaigning, when we're going door to door. We wear masks. We try to social distance. That being said, if you put a statewide mask mandate, I just want to know how you're going to enforce it. To me, I feel like you're almost lying to the voters. Are we going to send the highway patrol bomb that's in the park? Are we going to go and are we going to ticket them? Are we going to throw them in jail? This will hurt poor people. I think it's dishonest to put a mask mandate in it, knowing that there's no way to enforce it without actually harming people. And I think the best way to do it is through education. Encourage people to wear a mask. People started wearing masks before there were any mask mandates. Why? Because they want to feel safe and they want to protect themselves. And so I definitely trust in the freedom of the individual, and I think that's the best approach.
Senator, thank you. The next question goes to you first. As a representative of the St. Louis business community, we at the Regional Chamber receive constant feedback from our members and investors about regulatory burdens impacting the growth of their businesses. How will you improve the regulatory climate for business, and how will you make Missouri and our region a more attractive place to do business and an easier place to work?
Sure. I think there's a couple things. One, I have worked hard in the past. Like I said, I passed the Fresh Start bill this year, and I've worked on it at several. It took me several years to pass it, but we did pass it this year, and I think that's really important to businesses. It removes that regulation, allows businesses to hire people. About 29% of jobs out there require a license. And, what we did is it says moral turpitude. We took that language out because that gave too much power to these licensing boards. And we put specific language in there. And this will make it easier for if someone's getting out of jail. They may have skills. And if business thinks that they are reformed, they can hire those people, where before they simply couldn't because due to the licensing barrier. So I've proven myself to remove barriers to entry or regulations that made it difficult for businesses to operate. One of the biggest things right now are facing is the crime rate. We have over 200 homicides in this state. And so, allowing our Attorney General to prosecute murders in the city of St. Louis makes it one step closer. I support our police. I have their endorsement from both at the St. Louis County level and at the federal level, or the state level, I mean. And so, we must keep these crime rates down. We must put these violent criminals behind bars, so that way businesses can operate without fear of vandalism, without fear of crime happening that may scare off people in my district. Sometimes they're fearful to go downtown St. Louis. And for our region, if we can get this crime rate under control, then it will help our whole region economically.
Thank you, Senator. And Representative Lavender, same question to you. How will you improve the regulatory climate for business, and how will you make Missouri and our region a more attractive place to do business and an easier place to work?
Trust me, as a small business owner and healthcare provider, I know about regulatory hurdles. From increased paperwork to slow reimbursement, needing to get prior authorizations before I will be reimbursed, I know the effects of regulation. As a member of the Budget Committee for the last years, I've worked hard and asked tough questions. How can government be more efficient? Where can state departments reduce duplication? How can we streamline this process? I've been a member of the Kirkwood Area Chamber for the last decade. I've asked members to bring to me the restrictions Missouri places on businesses so I can work to make it easier. Every concern brought to me, 3 over the last 10 years, has been a federal regulation. I've voted on bills on the House floor because I voted against bills on the House floor because of redundant and excessive regulations. I've actually been told on the House floor that I sound like a Republican because I'm voting against additional regulations. Working for good bills that make it easier to do business in the state of Missouri should not be a Republican or Democrat issue. It should be a bipartisan effort for our legislature to put our best foot forward for the people and the businesses of our state. I support our public-private partnerships, investing in launch code to create more highly needed, high-paid IT careers and tax credits for affordable workforce housing. The St. Louis region has a lot of potential, but we can only fulfill on that potential if we recruit the world's best and brightest to come here for their education and stay for their employment. We want to make sure all people are welcomed here in Missouri.
Thank you, Representative. Question 6 goes to you first. Our region has once again been traumatized by systemic racism and the realization of economic inequities in our community. So what, if anything, do you think the state can do to help create more opportunities for groups that have been marginalized by the current system? And do you think police reform should be a part of the conversation? And what specifically would you support as the legislature reconvenes in 2021?
First, thank you. Thank you for asking this challenging question. Along with many of you, I have participated in difficult conversations regarding the dismantling of racism. Since the tragic event in Ferguson in 2014, and the horrific killing of George Floyd earlier this year, we continue to see a stark reality of the extent of systematic racism in our region, state, and nation. Add to that how the pandemic and resulting economic crisis has hit communities of color at a much higher cost than our white communities. We cannot turn a blind eye to this any longer. Yes, the state should be part of the solution. As I've stated in my priorities, a well-funded public education program for all of our communities, opportunities for workforce development, and an affordable higher education will create the workforce we need for the future. Focusing policies on transportation, affordable housing, infrastructure, including broadband access for all of Missouri, will help create better parity. We must make policy changes to accomplish racial equity. Police reform? Yes, that needs to be part of the conversation. We have asked our police officers to do a lot of things that could be better addressed by mental health care, job training, employment opportunities. Again, being on the budget committee, I've worked for prevention on these issues for years. Every year, the AG publishes a report of who gets pulled over by the police, why, and the results of the stops. Every year, we're told that there is a bias in who gets pulled over, and yet as a state, we've done nothing to address this inequity. A Black man driving in the Senate District 15 should not be at a higher risk of incident of being pulled over by the police. I voted for Prop P 2 years ago because our police should be fully funded. Adding a second officer to cars for safety, increasing pay, adding body and dashboard cameras, and training for peaceful de-escalation of the incidences.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you.
I appreciate your response. And Senator, same question to you. What, if anything, do you think the state can do to help create more opportunities for groups that have been marginalized by the current system? And do you think police reform should be a part of the conversation? And what specifically would you support as the legislature reconvenes in 2021?
Sure. I mean, the first thing I would say is, what happened to George Floyd was absolutely unacceptable. We certainly, there's always going to be bad actors in every, we have bad car salesmen, we have bad politicians, we have, bad people in almost every industry. It's part of human nature. That being said, the vast majority of our men and women in blue, our police officers, they put their lives on the line every single day to protect us, and the vast majority of them are doing a great job. One thing that I think the state of Missouri has addressed this. Back in 2015, we did pass Senate Bill 5, of which I voted for. We had cities that were getting a lot of their revenue through ticketing. The state of Missouri came in, we capped that to prevent that, and that would some of those low level crimes. Sometimes some of these things probably shouldn't even be crimes. We shouldn't necessarily be ticketing poor people because their blinker doesn't work. I think some of these things we have addressed in Senate Bill 5, or we've taken a step in the direction of fixing some of those problems. So that way, some of these people, some Black people won't get pulled over as much. Although there's probably more work to be done, but I'm always going to back our police and our men and women in blue.
Thank you, Senator. Question 7 goes to you to start. The past few election cycles have been riddled with divisiveness and vitriol. Have you seen in the U.S. chamber, the interests of business no longer hitch their wagon to one political party. Instead, the business community is throwing their support behind a bipartisan slate of pro-business candidates and elected leaders who are focused on growing business and our workforce. So the question is, how have you in your legislative career reached out to members from the opposite party to get things accomplished? And how will you in the future work to bridge the partisan divide?
Sure. I mean, I think anybody that knows me in the Senate knows that I will work with anybody. I am definitely conservative, but that doesn't mean I always work with everybody in the Senate. When I was in the House, I passed a TIF reform bill, and Senator Walsh was the senator that carried my bill. So obviously she's a Democrat, and she carried my bill. When it comes to, I had to pass a speech pathology bill this year, and passed it into law. There was a situation where, universities can't start a new program. And so I passed that bill on a bipartisan basis. This year, I had a bill that would eliminate TIFs in floodplains, and I worked with Senator Nasheed on it. She had some language that she wanted to add to it, and so we worked out an agreement. Another bill that I passed this year on a bipartisan basis, I worked with Senator Jill Shoup to pass my Safe Kit bill, or dealing with rape kits, the backlogs. What that did is we had, the evidence sets it up so the evidence is collected at the state level and kept for 30 years, allows the victim to be able to track their kit through the system. And, I worked with Senator Shoup on this bill. So every year I can point to bills where I've worked on a bipartisan basis with members of the other party.
Senator, thank you, sir. And Representative, the same question goes to you. How have you in your legislative career reached out to members from the opposite party to get things accomplished? You touched on this a little bit. How would you in the future also work to bridge the partisan divide?
Well, we don't have to look far to see the divisive behavior of politics these days. We can see it on TV, on the radio, on the streets, and in the halls of Jefferson City. As a state representative in the minority party in Jefferson City, I've had to reach across the aisle to find common ground in order to get anything to the governor's desk. My first amendment was to include students from all our states in a scholarship program regarding dairy farmers. If they received a scholarship, they would then be required to spend 6 years here in Missouri in the ag industry after graduation. I felt if anybody spent 6 years here after college, they would be hooked on Missouri and spend the rest of their life here. I've been successful in moving money in the budget to help people living with disabilities, fund tools that the social workers needed in the field, and passed $15 million in the recent supplemental bill to help broadband access. In this most recent special session, I worked with Representative Holly Rader, chair of the House Rules, where I'm the ranking member, to defeat the extreme Senate bill that threatened common sense public safety legislation the St. Louis Regional Chamber supported. I look forward to working with her in the Senate next year. Seeking common ground in today's politics may seem like an antiquated idea. That's how I came to office in 2014, and it's how I intend to do in 2020. Our campaign has built a coalition of Democrats, Independents, Republicans. We all want what's best for Missouri, and it is when we work in collaboration with each other that we're going to obtain those results. I applaud the Chamber for supporting a bipartisan slate of candidates this year, and I hope to be able to join you.
Thank you, Representative. And the last question goes to you first. The Regional Chamber has a few core priorities in economic development, workforce development, and transportation and infrastructure. So within these buckets, what area do you think needs specific attention, and how would you develop those areas through state or local action? And if elected, we support these three chamber priorities.
I appreciate all the work the St. Louis Regional Chamber has done to advocate economic and workforce development, transportation and infrastructure improvements across our region and state. If we want to grow the economy in Missouri, we need to make it an attractive place for businesses and their families to move here. That means fully funding our schools, ensuring our kids have greater exposure to STEM and STEAM courses so we can be prepared for the workforce that we will need to have tomorrow. It means investing in roads and bridges, the backbone of commerce, and that requires the skill of workers and vocational technical training. The missing key to growing our state's economy is public policy that reflects the values of everyday Missourians. Policies that ensure our state is a place where out-of-state companies, their employers and families want to relocate. Policies that retain the talent of college graduates, startup entrepreneurs, and small business owners. There are elected officials in Jeff City that are wasting a lot of time restricting the lives of others and are making our state less safe, placing extreme bans on women's rights, and loosening gun laws that make our schools and places of employment less safe. No one wants to move here right now. We will not get a female CEO to move her company here with the restrictive policies that Missouri has in place. Imagine if that time wasted on restricted policies was spent working on issues we all agree on: economic development, transportation, and workforce development. I'd like to see a legislative session in the Senate next year that focuses on what are priorities of the chamber that will result in growth of Missouri that we're long awaiting.
Thank you, Representative. And Senator, last question goes to you as well. The Regional Chamber has a few core priorities in economic development, workforce development, and transportation and infrastructure. And within those buckets, what area do you think needs specific attention, and how would you develop those areas through state or local action? And if reelected, will you support these three chamber priorities?
Yeah, I think, the chamber has done a good job trying to come up with policies that'll help our region. Workforce development and STEM is certainly important because our businesses need employees that are well qualified, and so there's always more work that can be done there. One bill that I passed a couple of years ago, Senate Bill 684, cutting the corporate rate for the first time in Missouri's history and doing it without affecting the state budget, I think will go a long ways towards helping our region become more competitive, giving us the second lowest corporate rate in the country, except for the 5 states that don't have one. When it comes to infrastructure, that is definitely a difficult issue, considering the people of Missouri have voted down 2 separate tax increases over the last few years or several years. And because of that issue, the legislature is going to have to get creative. We definitely need more funding for our roads, and we're going to have to be creative with coming up with different ways to fund it, because the people of Missouri have voted it down. The Highway 70, I was very fortunate that we were able to get a grant from the federal government to replace the Roach Porch Bridge. It would be absolutely devastating if we were to have to repair that bridge, or shut down shut down half the bridge and have 1 lane. We would have hours of backup on Highway 70 going across that state, and that would be absolutely devastating to the economically to the state of Missouri. So roads and bridges are definitely important. We have in the state of Missouri, we do have the 7th largest system in the country. And one of the reasons why is we take care of some of these roads, rural roads that other states don't take care of. Roads that are not really traveled by, that are only traveled by local populations. And so that is one reason why our system has some burden to it, because we're taking care of such a large system.
Thank you, Senator. Really appreciate your responses this morning. Now I'll turn it back to Representative Lavender for her closing remarks. Representative, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you this morning. Your questions reflect what we all want to see for this district, region, and our state. I've been in the supermajority minority and have watched the legislative pass divisive policies that do not reflect the great people of this state. We need leadership to move us in a direction of growth and opportunity for all of us, not just Republicans and not just Democrats. We won't agree on all of the answers, and yet together we can create solutions that will work to build economic opportunities for our state. The potential for Missouri is unlimited, yet we've wasted a lot of time this past decade imposing social restrictions that continue to have us wallow in poor economic growth and the loss of citizens to our states, to other states who are building for their future. I have loved being in the State House and have worked hard for the people of District 90 because they deserve a representative who works hard for them. I'm looking forward to working in the Senate for the people of the Senate District for the same reason, to be responsive to their needs, to be someone that represents them and not work for the special interest of one billionaire. I look forward to working for growth, stability, safety, and being part of a state that welcomes everyone. Thank you again for the opportunity to be with you this morning.
Thank you, Representative, for being with us this morning, and a special thank you to your professional staff for helping organize this forum. And now I'll turn it over to Senator Koenig for closing remarks. Senator, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, I want to thank Representative for being here. I want to thank the chamber and everyone that's put this on together. Thank you, Austin, for coming up with these questions and giving it to us. I will say it's I have a belief system on government. No one works harder than me when it comes to talking to people and getting the work done in the Senate. I will go door to door to every senator to try to pass the bills that I pass. And I've been very effective at passing these bills. I've passed over 9 bills. It is a total lie to say that I have worked for one billionaire. That there's no truth in that. It's a ridiculous statement for my opponent to even say that. So I've been very effective. I cut Missouri's income tax for the first time in nearly 100 years. I was the deciding vote to fully fund our foundation formula that increased funding to education by over $360 million, of which my opponent voted against that. I was cut Missouri's corporate tax the first time in nearly 100 years. I'm going to work hard to make sure we pass the Wayfair bill. That's something that's very important to our region. I'm a small business owner. I have 5 kids, 2 of them we adopted through foster care. And so I have a wide range of experience to do this job.
Thank you, Senator. Really appreciate your responses and your closing remarks. And, you know, I don't normally see both of you on a Zoom forum. Usually it's in the state legislature where both of you and your respective parties and your respective chambers are hard at work. There's no doubt about that. You're hardworking public servants, and you know, we wish you both luck in the upcoming election. Appreciate you being here with us. And with that, I'll conclude today's candidate forum. Be sure to join us again this Friday, October 23rd, as we host a 3rd candidate forum featuring State Representative Doug Beck and Dr. David Linehan, who are both running to represent the 1st District of Missouri. For more information on our forums, please visit our website at stlregionalchamber.com or contact Riley Nix at rnix@stlregionalchamber.com. We hope to see you there. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.